What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, PV fam? It's your boy John Q coming at you with another one. I'm out here in North Carolina on this beautiful, cool fall morning, and I decided to change the brake pads on the Dualtron X2 some time ago. Quite a few people in the PV community who've seen me change my tires on the Dualtron X2, and the headache that I had doing that requested me to do a video for how I changed my brake pads on the Dualtron X2. The first time that I tried to change my brake pads, man, it was a headache. This part right here with the screws on the inside and then nuts on the inside of the fender, I thought I had to take that off in order to slide the brake pads out. And so I did all of that, and man, I had a hard time trying to get that fender back on that frame there with those nuts. And I kind of went back to the drawing board, took a look at everything, and then I said, you know what? What if I take the deck off and pull the wires out a little bit so that I could have some wiggle room to take the caliper loose and pull the whole thing out? But anyway, I got my tools here, got everything ready, and so I'm just going to do a simple brake change and let you guys see how I do it. Okay, and I got these nut brakes here off of Amazon. If there's any Dualtron owners out there who are having trouble changing their brake pads and would like to know more about the simple way to change them, my mode of operandi is to just basically take the calipers loose, like so. And I try to take them loose evenly because I wouldn't want to get the screws wedged in the hole that they're threaded into and possibly create a situation where, and I'll take and put some more Loctite on those whenever I get ready to put them back in. Make sure I don't lose my screws. And all I need is just my needle nose pliers and this wrench that I have here. And it's as simple as that. You see how that's now exposed? The entire pin is exposed, so I can bend it forward and pull it out. And then all I got to do is all I have to do is slide the new set right in, and I'll show you that part as well. You don't want to put too much pressure on this cable. Then I'll take it, hit it like that, and now the pin is out. What's next? Whatever you do, once you pull this pad out, do not press that brake caliper or your cylinders on the cylinders on the inside of your brake housing. They will close in, and then you will have to take and squeeze them back out, which is not a big deal either. But you won't want to add any extra headache to the process. And as you can see, the DX2, she has been eating some pads. And she does eat pads. She eats a lot of pads. I think I change my pads like every, I change these pads like every, I want to say maybe 600 to 700 miles of riding. I change it. And currently I have the Dualtron X2 set on light ABS in that regenerative braking mode that you can put it in. Now these brake pads right here, they weren't as thick as the ones that I'm about to put back on. Cut that off. sure that I don't pull that out of there. And wow, this looks like some kind of, these brake pads that I bought from Amazon, they kind of look thin already in my taste, but then again, they're not. I was just looking at the cover of the outer inner cover. So with that, just place them in. Bam, just like that. Look through there. When you look through there, you can see that the hole lines up. Just slide the pin in. Take your needle nose pliers. All of this part is like self-explanatory, so I'm just doing it so that you guys can see. And normally this process of changing the brakes, this process of changing the brake pads on the Dualtron X2, it only takes me probably about maybe, I want to say 15 minutes at tops or more or less. And the only reason I have this much slack in my brake line is because I went inside the deck and I followed the brake line wire that goes up into the stem or to the steering column, and I pulled it down slightly. I pulled that brake line down slightly to get as much slack that was available inside the line without pulling it too hard and making it where it was too tight up here at the very top where the calipers are. And I got me a little bit of extra wire coming out the back so that I would be able to pull those brake pads all the way up. There we go. There we go, right there. So I just set them down in there. Bring them back up here. Line my hose up. And we have them back in there. And I'll be lining my screws with this Loctite, the blue, which is, as you see on the bottom there, is labeled removable. So make sure you use that, because they had a very heavy duty industrial Loctite on the original screws. I don't know if you can see that on the original screws, that white Loctite. And man, when you break it for the first time, it'll cause you to almost strip the screws to try to get it loose. But with a little heat, if you're having trouble getting that screw off the first time, you take one of those heat guns or one of those little blowers, and you blow some heat on that screw. And me, I just blew heat on it, and I lightly tapped it with the handle of my needle nose pliers, and then I tried to break it, and it came rather loose with no problem. I just take and I put a small bead of Loctite on there on one area of it, and then I screw the screw in, and it fills the hole up with the rest. The X2 officially has its rear brake caliper on, and I'll tighten them up completely as I press on the caliper, so that I can align the brake caliper where it's not scrubbing against the disc. But the process, it's not difficult. And I know when you first get on an electric scooter, one of the things that reviewers don't tell you about, or don't show you, because they're not really owners of the scooter per se, and going to be doing a whole lot of maintenance work on them in some cases. And then there are some reviewers that give you a breakdown of how to do A, B, C, and D on your scooter. But I'm just a personal owner, changing my brake pads after going through quite a few trials and errors just to learn how to do so without it being difficult and without it being a headache. So that's the perspective that I'm bringing you with my brake pad change. Yeah, I was about to ask myself, am I getting too old to find a hole? Oops, that's what she said. There we go. So I'm just putting them on. I'm just lining them in, getting them started for down, and then I'm gonna go around here and repeat the same process on the front caliper, because whenever I change my brake pads, you know, I like to just go ahead and change both of them regardless of the condition, and so that I can make sure that I have an even distribution on my braking and my stopping ability. And riding the Dualtron X2, you do not, trust me when I tell you, you do not want to be on this beast, hit your brake pad, and this never happened to me because I'm religious about pre-maintenance before I ride. This machine has got to be in optimal condition before I get on the road, because my life is just too valuable to risk by not doing a pre-check and fixing something that it only takes me 10 or 15 minutes to fix, and as opposed to ending up in a situation where I get in an injury that I will be wearing for the rest of my life. Front ones have generally always been the easiest ones. You already have plenty of room here, and so when you slip it up like that and pull it out, it pops right out. And then I'm just repeating the process that I did earlier. Do not think. And then once again, you go in reverse order. You put the back end first, because the first time I pulled the front out first. Take a look in there, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be, nothing is damaged. I had a little coupling to slide back on me. Just slide that coupling back over the screw on the inside there, so no dust gets into the screw area where your caliper feeds the brake fluid into the caliper. Front brakes. And I have no scrubbing, as you can see at this point, because I haven't tightened them yet. And let me see. And you'll probably notice that, checking to make sure the tire still spins freely. And And after you pump the brake a little bit, you'll notice that it gets tighter. All right, I think we are almost there. I'm just double checking the screws to make sure everything's nice and tight. Yep. And a nice, you know, decent amount of hand torque is all it takes, not an over tightening where you got to get them so tight. And also when I have my DX2 elevated, I normally shake my stem area to see if there's any looseness anywhere that would give me room to give me reason for pause. And everything looks pretty decent. The X2, she's been a beast, and she's held up wonderfully